everyone, David Wade alongside Dr. Malika Marshall with this week's Family Focus. You know, it's hard to find a teenager who doesn't use Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, maybe all three. Recent studies have suggested that the more young people use social media sites, the more likely they are to become depressed. But Canadian researchers say that's not true, that the opposite may be at play. Doctor, what is going on with this breakdown? What's really going on with social media and our kids' mental health?
It's those Canadians. It's always the Canadian researchers.
Do they have the right answer, though?
They might. So what they argue is that the previous studies that have been done on this issue have been done sort of in a moment of time. They've taken a snapshot of the situation, but they couldn't really determine which came first, the chicken or the egg, or in this case, the depression or the social media use. So in this study, they surveyed more than 600 6th, 7th, and 8th graders once a year for 2 years and more than 1,000 college students for 6 years. And instead of finding that social media led to depressive symptoms, they found that it was teenage girls who were already depressed who tended to use or spend more time on social media.
That's interesting. So how would social media actually make them feel better?
So the guess is that if a child is feeling marginalized or isolated or feels like they don't have a lot of friends, or maybe they're having difficulty communicating with people in person, they feel awkward, they can sort of feel as though they're part of a social circle online and connect with people in ways that they can't do in person.
So I have a 7th grader, and I often worry about her going on these social media sites because suddenly you're seeing friends in your class are out doing something, maybe you're not. It seems like it puts a lot of pressure on kids. But you're saying they were depressed before they even went online.
That's what these researchers found. And they said, you know, look, for a lot of these kids, this might be a good thing unless they're using it as a crutch and they're not sort of dealing with the real life situations or issues that they're having in their lives.
All right, so you're a parent. What do you do? How do you make sure that A, your kid's not already depressed, and B, that going online is not making things worse for them?
So they say to sort of use this as information. So instead of going to your kid and being like, those stupid social media sites, they're going to fry your brain.
Hey, how do you know what I say at home? That's exactly what I say.
Because I know you so well. Instead, step back and ask your child, because otherwise, if you do that, they're not going to confide in you, and they're going to assume that you're going to take this away from them. So instead, go to them and say, hey, what are you looking at? What sites are you using? Because a lot of times, instead of the social media sites, like my kids are always surfing YouTube videos. I'm not saying that's any better, but I'm just saying try to figure out what your child is doing and why they're using these sites, and then see if you can come in through the back door to try to figure out whether they're really depressed or whether it's a healthy use of social media.
I got to say, if I were a teenager and you approached me with that, hey, what are you doing? I'd be awfully suspicious.
Would you?
You
would hide it behind your back.
I would say, oh,
quickly.
Dr. Malika's up to something, or Mom, in this case, is up to something. One final question, and I know the Canadian researchers didn't deal with this, but you're a smart woman. What leads to so many of these kids being depressed at that age?
Oh, gosh, you know, recent studies have shown that I think 8 million school-aged children are dealing with some sort of mental health issue, whether it's anxiety, depression, ADHD. I mean, it's affecting a lot of kids out there. I don't know if we're just identifying it more easily in kids than we did years ago, but there are also a lot of pressures on kids that I don't think we necessarily felt when we were young that might be leading to some of the problems. So it's probably a combination of factors.
All right. Well, it's good that we're actually identifying it, because the first step in getting help is identifying it, right?
There you go.
Dr. Malika Marshall with this week's Family Focus. We thank you for watching.